Uh, right, a lot of shit. We've had E3, and that's a busy time for a website devoted to video games. And this E3 was particularly heavy on the comic book stuff. So, should we talk about that stuff first
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
that stuff out of the way? Let's start with SpiderMan.
Yes.
It has been too long since we had a decent Spider-Man game. Oh, but how I have missed them.
This is going to be. This is the one. This is going to
It
be
has to be.
the correct follow-up to Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, we don't know loads. It's Insomniac making it, who are from Ratchet and Clank fame, and they also did that Xbox game.
Sunset Overdrive.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. They also did Spyro, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
Sunset's a good one to compare it to because it had that kind of interesting traversal mechanic, and Spider-Man is all about traversal, and you want that kind of web slinging to feel fluid and fun because you're going to be doing it for hours. In fact, that was the main source of entertainment in most Spider-Man games because the last few stories have been pretty woeful. So we had a trailer. We don't really know when it's coming out yet, but they look pretty far along with it. We heard that this is rendered on a PlayStation 4, which this game will be exclusive to Sony, and it's looking really, really good. So
It's very slick.
I'm hoping for it, not too late next year for release.
Even if it's 2018, I'll be okay. As long as it's early. To be fair, I think they're holding off and waiting for the movie. And I'm hoping to do something with the movie and be like, oh, look, it comes out. You've seen the Spider-Man on screen. Now play him at home. Because obviously it's not going to be Tom Holland, but maybe that's what they're waiting for. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think Marvel are that arsed about tying stuff in anymore. I think they're more interested at the moment in kind of
Quality.
just making a decent game, and when it's ready, it's ready. But
I think it does look like our current Spider-Man, though. I was watching the trailer again, and the eyes give it the old thingy that he was doing in Civil War. Yeah. And it just clicked that it looks like it's a bit of a tie-in, which might fit in well with summer next year. Maybe they're not calling it Homecoming anyway.
No.
But it certainly looks like it could be well tied in. They'd obviously have to change the costume and whatnot because it's completely
I love the
different
costume.
to the one that we saw.
I like the costume, but I mean,
the one in the game is amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
But he'll probably get a new suit in the movie, whether it'll be this one. The games always have multiple costumes anyway, so it's not the end of the
Give me Iron
world.
Spider and I'll be happy.
Me too, mate. I'm with you there. So yeah, I'd like it to tie in. I've not seen enough to convince me that that's the route they're going to go down, and from the way they've been talking about these properties, I don't think they're as fussed.
It'd be nice if that happened, but
Yeah.
to be fair, as long as okay, maybe it's not the Marvel Cinematic Universe they're part of, but a Marvel game universe. So it's if we get outside references to maybe Tony Stark or something, or it's Iron Man, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's also an animated movie they're making, which is not in continuity, but it could be in this continuity.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
So they've got options, but everyone knows who Spider-Man is. So even if it's a different version, I don't think it's going to upset anyone. But it just looks slick as fuck. It looks great.
There's that GIF, and I keep watching it over and over again, where he's running through the building. He jumps onto a pillar, then web swings out the window, and I'm just like, if that's actual gameplay and you can just do that and it's fluid, I'll be like, oh, it's going to feel so good.
Out of the whole trailer, that looked like the most likely to be gameplay.
Yeah.
And that was exciting to watch.
That's so exciting.
That was really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to handle it, because to me it felt a little bit like, do you remember in Assassin's Creed, which one was it? Was it Unity, where they opened up the idea of you can walk through buildings now? So when you're free running, there's an open window and you kind of jump through it, but it kind of takes over for you when you're inside.
Sort of cutscene-ish.
Does a bit of jumping over tables and whatever, and then you jump back out the window. It felt a little bit like it might be that, or it might be like a quick time event or something. Because I don't know how they would, if it is a case of he's just swung through a random building, I don't know how they would make it. You're in full control.
It might be more like the Mirror's Edge style, where there's only certain things you can click onto and swing off, and your web will stick to as well. If that's how they do it, then they can make it a lot more feasible in game.
I hope it is a chain movement system where you can progressively just get faster and faster in your soar and leap and stuff. Because I like building up momentum. Like in Mirror's Edge, it's fun to build that momentum up and then just be going.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be how Spider-Man does this. Like you just go jumping, then you're swinging and you're going across city just on one web, and it'd be awesome.
Yeah. I think they're probably further along than we think. Based on that trailer, and I think we'll probably see more of it quite soon. There's a lot of shows coming up where we might get a bit more idea of what the hell's going on. But Sony were just basically dropping exclusives one after the other at this point, and to keep the momentum going, I don't think they wanted to dwell too much on any one project. So they just kind of blasted us in the ass with it and then moved on to something else. But yeah, I'm really keen to see what happens next because it looks awesome. Let's talk about something else that got shown off a little bit. TellTale are making a Batman game. We've known about this for friggin' ages. We just haven't seen anything of it. It's apparently the first season. Like, are they already planning another one?
God, please stop it, TellTale.
Is due by the end of the year to be finished by the end of the year. So they're going.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's going to come thick and fast. I think starting in around September, according to them. But they kind of do what they want, time frame wise anyway. So we just got a series of stills, I think, at this point. You guys had a look at these?
I've seen a few of them. Seen the Bruce Wayne ones.
Looks like the same style as Wolf Among Us. A bit more similar to that than the other Telltale games I've played. Which, if it's going back to that sort, I'm fine with that. I really enjoyed Wolf Among Us, and the way that story plays out with the graphics is really good.
Yeah.
However, the story goes, though, it's difficult to nail down quite a complicated Batman story in a Telltale game.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I thought it looked a bit cleaner than Wolf, and that might just be because the engine's been updated or whatever. But it reminded me a lot in design sensibilities of the Arkham games. I was kind of hoping they went a bit deeper into like the comic book art style that they sort of experimented in with Wolf. I wanted it to look like a living kind of comic.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we haven't really had that yet, and this feels a bit familiar to me. It feels like you can see all the detail in his suit. I'd rather just see, like, even if it was like the 90s cartoon, just a very stripped down, very basic, loads of shadow. But they're not going that direction, and for all I know, that they're doing something better. But I was just a little bit like, I wish you'd kind of given me something a bit more old-fashioned. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Batman works well in the shadows. That's the thing that strikes the fear into the people he's tracking down. It's not him himself. They know they're getting their ass kicked by that point, but seeing that shadow of him looming is what really does it. And to play off that could really add the good feelings into the game, really make you feel like you're part of the story.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily against the cleaner imagery. It's quite a difficult one to call. Yeah.
Right. All they've really said about it is, from what I can tell, they're splitting the gameplay up between Bruce Wayne and Batman. So how they're going to handle the kind of Bruce Wayne sections, I don't know. But they're trying to tell, I think, a more detective-y story. So you're investigating, which is very Wolf. He did a lot of like picking up clues and interrogating people and stuff like that. So I think if we like Wolf, which we do,
We did. It's my favourite Telltale game.
yeah, then hopefully it could well be the people who made that, like the same team, and hopefully get a decent game out of it.
Might also be worth noting that Marvel have also got a Telltale game coming at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true, isn't it?
that's when's that happening, guys? That was announced like 2 years ago. No, it was 1 year ago because we mentioned it on the podcast. But yeah, that's at least a year ago they announced it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to
The
see.
problem is with Telltale.
Go on, mate.
Go on.
No, it's alright, go on.
Telltale run the risk of turning into like Funko, just having licenses, everything left, right, and centre, and not delivering what they need to deliver, and just becoming like a sausage factory, just pumping out game after game after game, none of which really hit the mark. And that's my fear with the Marvel one, because it's quite wide ranging. Especially what we have heard is just generic Marvel superheroes, and to focus on all of them is impossible.
Yeah, I think they need to pick a character and just look at their world and be quite focused, and pick someone like street level. In my head, I want it to be like Moon Knight, someone who hasn't had a chance to appear in Netflix or something like that.
That'd be awesome.
It could. The fact that they're doing Batman makes me think they might not do Moon Knight anymore, because they've got some similarities. But someone like that, someone who is on the ground, kind of in and amongst it, rather than flying around the city. You know what I mean? But yeah, I suppose we'll have to wait and see with that one. They seem to be biting off a lot at the minute, so who knows when we're ever going to see it.
Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl, yeah.
Make
I
it
can see it, yeah.
Make it happen.
That's a bold choice, Scott.
It'd sell to the girls.
I'd buy it.
The
Just to
problem they face.
swoon over all the characters, like ooh, like be best friends with people. It'd be great.
Scott,
And then send all my squirrels to attack Wolverine at some point.
well, all right. Then maybe it'll be Squirrel Girl. Who knows? We'll probably find out. Maybe even during the summer. There's enough frigging shows. They're going to need to talk about something else, aren't they?
Yeah.
What about Injustice? Do either of you have any experience with these punchy games?
Injustice is so good. Well,
Very good.
actually, I say it's so good. I really enjoyed it. As a fighting game. I also really enjoyed Mortal Kombat versus DC. So I'm happy NetherRealms and DC are happy with the partnership they have. Injustice kinda was on level with Mortal Kombat 9, but also wasn't, which upset me a bit. But obviously MKX came out, added a lot of new stuff, and then now Injustice 2 finally announced, even though it was kind of announced before, but no one seemed to pick up on that. We talked about it on a podcast before. It's the only thing I'm worried about with Injustice 2 is this gear system which they're pushing, and how much that's actually going to break a fighting game. Because if you've got different stats and all that, where does the balance come?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these games are... I mean, I don't know much about them. I haven't played them since I was quite PlayStation 1 era. But, yeah, it's all about that balance and making every character have a fair chance. I mean, I don't know much about these. From the gameplay footage that I've seen, they look fucking mental. Like, the way the battles... They look brilliant. But I just don't know enough about it, really. What about the books? Have you read any of those, Scott?
Yes, I picked them up before I went on holiday. Well, year 1, 2, and 3. So I'm up to year 3 now. I'm up to year 3.
And I hear they are going to carry on with the tie-in series for this game.
Well, year 5 just released, didn't it? I think.
I don't know. I don't know.
I know year 4
You
was
tell
a
me,
thing. I
Scott.
still got to read year 4. But I really like that storyline, and I hope that's where they go with the movies as well. Like,
It's so
he's
fucking
already killed
dark.
Zod. Just let him be a killer and go, like Lois, without spoiling too much.
No, spoil. It's been out for years now, Scott. So for the benefit of people who don't know, give us the synopsis of what the fuck this story is, because it is kind of messed up.
It is really quite dark when you think about it. Lois kind of maybe dies due to someone being a very, very naughty Joker person type thing, which sends Superman crazy and insane. And then it just becomes Superman's agenda of like, no, I'm going to make sure no one has anything wrong in the world, and then he becomes a dictator, and then it's like Batman's like, no, you can't do that. So then they have a war with each other, but like, and then all the other heroes join each side of this war, and it turns into something completely crazy, and it's just super fun. That's a horrible way of describing Injustice. There's a lot of nuance to it, and it's actually very good. And like once it gets like it, I mean the whole army stuff with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, that's awesome. Like, but if you play the game, you get all the story from. I think it's up to it's year one definitely.
Yeah, I think that's what it covers. I mean, I've heard that the books are brilliant, and I think I will one day read them. But it just sounds like kind of a really dark version of these characters, and kind of having my fill of that at the minute with the filth that Snyder's been pumping out. But
well, yeah, that's filth and not very good. Like the actual Injustice, like the way they do the characters, like they have their morals, but they have to break them to stop dictator Superman.
Yeah,
and just seeing Superman as this like villain. I mean, I grew up with Smallville. Smallville was my Superman, which, people might not like it,
you
but
poor soul.
I know. I don't have all 10 seasons right there. It's so obviously I really liked Superman as a kid. Well, I like Clark Kent as a kid. But might as well Max Landis's Superman run. What's it? American Alien.
Oh yeah, that is
read
brilliant.
the first issue of that, and I really like that.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So there's like Superman can be a good character, but seeing this character who everyone knows is Goody Two Shoes McGoodington being like, I've just basically enslaved people.
Yeah.
I rule you.
It's kind of shocking.
Awesome. And some of the throwdowns, like, you don't expect it because, I mean, you get this bullshit MacGuffin pill where it gives them strength to go to.
Okay.
That happens, which is like...
You've got to handle it somehow, though.
But it's awesome. And some of the throwdowns are amazing. I mean, Black Canary. Oh my god, Black Canary has a really good moment.
All right, keep some surprises, Scott.
I will. Okay, I'll stop.
All right, so Injustice.
And then the games kind of really get that. You can Flash versus Superman or Flash versus Batman. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's like that kind of fanboy dream of bashing your toys together, but you do it and it looks good, and
yeah,
you can do it over and over again, and the heads aren't going to come off. So I
put fatalities in.
No, I meant you're not going to spoil your action figures. But yeah, the fatality is certainly pretty interesting to watch when it's these characters who don't like killing each other. But
yeah, they don't go that far. They have like world-ending moves that are like Superman. I think it's either Superman or Doomsday's where they end up in the atmosphere and then bring them down to the floor. I'm like, well, they're dead.
Yeah,
you just killed someone.
Yeah. So that's
Flash runs around the planets and punches someone. That's really fun to pull off. There's some really good stuff in there, and I'm hoping Injustice 2 doubles down on Iron. Like I'm the only one thing is like in MKX you had a character and then you had 3 different variations of that character, but that seems to have the way bringing that over, which is a shame because that was cool.
Well, maybe they just like press for time. I don't know. It's coming out fairly soon. I think it's early next year, aiming for around first quarter of next year, so by March, Injustice 2. So I'm sure we'll let you know if there is any news on that front. Let's talk about something else that will get Scott excited. This week, I think it was this week, Grant Gustin, our Flash from the TV series, dropped a couple of tweets that were quite interesting. He was basically given permission by one of the producers on the show to let fans know what the title is of the first episode of season 3, which is Flashpoint. And this has some significance to people who know anything about the Flash comics. I mean, he followed up with to qualify that they're doing Flashpoint thing their own way.
Oh yeah.
Grant has read Flashpoint. He's seen the animated film of Flashpoint, and this will be, in his words, its own thing.
Well, it can't actually be Flashpoint.
Well, tell us about. Let's think. How should we handle this? Because I've not seen season 2 yet, and I don't know how they finish it.
Okay.
So if you can, tell us a bit.
You read Flashpoint though, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know the inciting incident, but I won't spoil that for people who don't know the inciting incident of Flashpoint. Something happens which has a massive effect on the timeline. We're talking characters may be dead and are different versions of the characters, which is still one of my favourite things about Flashpoint, with the Batman and the Joker relationship in that. And it's basically Barry figuring out what's going on, because do I say what happens to Barry at the start?
Yeah, because it's not really that spoilery, I don't think.
Okay, so yeah, Barry wakes up in this world. It's different. He doesn't have his powers. He's not the Flash. And everything's different. He still has the memories of that. He still knows who Bruce Wayne is. He knows Justice League, all that stuff. He knows that. And it's him just figuring out what's gone on wrong with this world. He has an incident with his ring, the Flash ring, which brings a massive plot twist about. He does try to get his powers back, which is also really cool.
Yeah.
And it just basically is this one massive thing that leads to a massive war-esque type scenario. Would you describe it as a war?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Twilight Zone Doomsday like scenario where everything has gone fucking wonky, alternate reality type thing. But the great thing about those stories is you can do whatever you want with them.
And it really shows the liberty to do that.
Yeah, and in the comic, things went a bit fucking mental, but with entertaining results. And the TV show it's not going to have access to that wider cast of characters.
Well, no, two warring races that aren't in the show are going to be at war with each other.
But the freedom to kind of do what you want and then retcon it 2 hours later or whatever if they do a double it can present some interesting opportunities for storytelling. So what do you think they're going to do with this, Alex? Because you're the telly man.
I've not read Flashpoint. You can see I'm trying not to spoil season 2 of Flash as well. Because there's already been a bit of exploration into parallel continuities. So we've seen other people in other people's shoes and playing different parts in the world already. Combine that to what happened at the end of season 2, it's giving them a clean slate for the start of season 3. It can open up pretty much anything. I'm quite excited to see what it does to the other 3 shows that are running at the same time.
Yeah.
Because now they're all sitting in the CW universe. You've got Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow.
That has to be how they bring Supergirl into that universe. It's
got to be, because Supergirl doesn't exist in that same Earth at the moment.
Yeah.
She has appeared he's appeared in Supergirl.
That was the worst part of season 2, how he disappeared in the Flash to go to Supergirl. It's just that, 2 seconds of screen footage. He blips away and then blips back in.
The worst part about it is when you look at the UK TV airing schedules, and you actually find out that the Flash disappeared to go and see Supergirl 2 weeks after he appeared in Supergirl.
Fucking hell.
But that's a slight issue.
It's embarrassing.
We're not very good at getting things in order in this country, but they've got a clean slate. They can pretty much do anything, and they could, in theory, bring everybody into the Flash for the opening.
I think that's the mega crossover that we're talking about. It has to be, right? It has to be. You can't...
I can see them dodging Legends because they've got other stuff to be dealing with, given how they ended season 1. But I think they need to bring in Supergirl, and they'll have to bring Arrow, or at least Oliver Queen in.
Yeah.
Whether it's the whole of Team Arrow is a different story, but I think they have to bring Oliver Queen in. And
whether it's the Team Arrow we know.
Hopefully not.
We're going to have to save this for a proper topic because this shit is coming off the rails
See, this is what Flashpoint does.
We need to probably address what the hell is going on in Arrow, and in fact, we might even start talking about it in a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's shelve that for now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with it, and I'm gonna have to catch up on season 2 before the next season starts, so that we can start talking about it when it comes back on the air.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sticking with DC and going back onto some comic shiz. This week in a month is when the publishers kind of reveal what's coming from their books in the next. With the September solicitations just dropped, so we get a peek of what are DC going to start coming out with next, and they have really revealed 3 new books. If I can find the details, we've got Batman Beyond Rebirth, which is Dan Jurgens and Ryan Sook. Cyborg Rebirth and issue 1 dropping in September by John Semper and Will Conrad. And the last book is Teen Titans Rebirth, which is a Teen Titans team with Damian Wayne as the Robin. There's always like a Robin or Nightwing in these things, kind of the leader of it, and this one's Damian Wayne, and he's joined by some kind of historic Teen Titans characters: Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy.
No Cyborg.
No Cyborg. He's become more kind of affiliated with
Justice League
lately. But Kid Flash, I'm not sure which Kid Flash it is. I think it's Wally, the other Wally, like the younger Wally West. So
it's
that'd be
a third
interesting.
Wally.
Yeah, that'd be interesting and not a small amount confusing. But Damian Wayne is in it because he wants to kick the shit out of his old man. So fair play to him. We all want to do that sometimes. He wants to not his old man, his granddad. Sorry, Ra's al Ghul. So that's fair enough. He's a bit of a dick. He probably deserves it. Any of those books interest you at all?
I don't know. Teen Titans. Like I watched the animated series as a kid.
Yeah.
I really loved that one. That was like spot on. That was awesome.
Yeah. It was fun, yeah.
And then I did Teen Titans Go, which was terrible and should never be spoken of. And I've tried to read a few comics here and there, but it's not that Teen Titans. Like I think there's too much of a fondness to that team with that personality that trying to read anything else from them isn't what I expect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, my Teen Titans were always John's version, which was like 12 years ago. I think he was writing those, and that was Tim Drake, Robin, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Starfire, Raven, Superboy, Connell, and like Wonder Girl, Cassie, I think her name is. I can't even remember now. And it was a pretty good team. It was, again, a mixture of old and new, which made it really interesting, because some of them play like a mentor role, and some of them are like having to pull up the bootstraps a little bit. And this seems to be a similar like dichotomy of old and new that kind of represents what they're trying to do with Rebirth at the minute. So that's probably the book that I'm interested to see how it goes. I don't know much about the creative team on that one, which is Benjamin Percy and John Boy Myers. So I can't tell you whether I think it's going to be good or bad, but it'll be interesting to find out. What else have we had? Marvel have also started teasing stuff, because they are never one to sit out of the spotlight for very long. And God, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Honestly, like we're just repeating history at this point. We've got Civil War 2 ongoing at the moment, and they're already teasing the aftermath, which is they've been calling Marvel. They've called Marvel this Marvel Now initiative for several years. When they last did a major reboot, it was Marvel Now, and this Marvel Now is like a shattered now. Whether that means this it's over or what, I don't know, or a more aggro version, I just don't know. But
it's the attitude era for Marvel.
Oh Jesus, no, we don't need it. We don't need it. They've dropped a few teasers which are bizarre and kind of uninteresting. But I'll go through them anyway. We've got Captain Marvel, who is Carol Danvers. She's one of the main kind of protagonists, antagonists of Civil War 2.
Which side do you sit on?
Oh man, I'm not. The conflict hasn't really done anything to interest me yet, so I'm struggling to take a side. It's like, why are you even fighting? I don't get it. So she's up against Slapstick, who is just an obscure villain turned kind of good person thing. Miss Marvel, who is getting a lot of prominence lately. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be interested in that.
She seems to be up against the new War Machine, who is called Riri Williams. She was introduced in the Invisible Iron Man second story arc. She basically makes her own suit. She just like steals a load of tech and bastardizes it and makes her own version. And now Rhodey has bitten it, then she's going to obviously fill the gap by the looks of it, which is interesting on its own. She'll probably appear in Bendis' book, which is one of the Marvel books I'm really enjoying at the minute. Black Panther and Prowler, who is in Amazing Spider-Man at the minute, which I don't read. So
that is an odd choice.
Fair enough. Don't know what you two are doing on the same piece of paper. Weird one. That was a comicbook.com exclusive, I should say. And Steve Rogers against Mosaic, some weird Inhuman we don't know anything about. And finally, Miss America, who I'll be amazed if you guys know who that is. She was in Kieran Gillen's Young Avengers run for whatever, 16 issues that lasted. Versus the new handsome Doctor Doom, who is basically Doctor Doom with a nice looking face.
Oh yeah, that was peculiar.
That was a Comic Vine exclusive that they were given. They share these things out. The first one I think went to Comic Book Resources as well. So we're probably going to get a load more of these over the next week, because they tend to really pound us with these teasers that aren't really teasing me at all. I mean, you guys...
The only one that I'm excited for is Miss Marvel, because I really enjoyed the first volume of it was Camille Khan's first one. I've just read the first volume of that.
That's good stuff.
So good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Are you guys keeping up with sort of what Marvel are doing at the minute?
I've read the Doctor Strange first volume of the new Doctor Strange.
That's good.
That was really cool. I loved what they did with that.
Yeah, that's.
Other than that, I need to finish off Secret Wars again.
Oh man, that's so good. Alex, you're all over this stuff, aren't you?
I'm trying my best to keep up. Trying my best, but every week there's something new to add in after speaking to you.
No, you've just got to drop some shit. We're going to have to go through and start axing things from your pull list.
You're thinking we might kill Squirrel Girl off, maybe?
No, Squirrel Girl!
Yeah, kill her.
Get rid of Squirrel Girl. No, it's the fact that there's new Star Wars things coming out as well. Seemingly every month there's something new for Star Wars. And I really want to dig into those and really take my time over them. And I tend to sit and read it when it's quiet on a night shift as well at work and stuff like that. And just work gets in the way. I'm not into that at all.
Well, for me, I'm a long-time Marvel reader, and it's my kind of publisher of choice really for this stuff. I find that you have to kind of maybe pick one or the other if you're going to fully invest in one, and this is kind of a bit of a letdown for me. Civil War 2, it feels a bit like a retread of stuff we've seen already, and it seems like there's not really enough conflict to justify what's going on. These teasers don't really mean much to me at all. After the first Civil War, we got this period of people being at each other's throats for a couple of years, this Registration Act era. It sounds like we're probably going to get that again. They're just going to have to punch each other a lot for a while. It
seems like they've mixed up the order a bit, because we've seen a future telling Inhuman already this season in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And it seems really bizarre that the comics are stepping in after S.H.I.E.L.D. has half addressed the subject and half not. And the fact that Fitz spent a lot of time... I know that the comics and the TV universe and the movie universe are separate, but Fitz in S.H.I.E.L.D. spent a lot of time describing how you can't go around changing the future. And what they've done in this, in Civil War 2, is they've just gone, nah, forget about that. We can change it, and we're going to change it.
Yeah.
And it's really peculiar. I don't like wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff at the best of times when you can't stick to a theory of time travel and changing the future and things like that. If you get a theory, you stick to it. You've either got a fixed timeline, multiple universes, or you can change it. One way or the other, killing Hitler's going to do something completely different.
Yeah. I mean, Marvel have taken several approaches to this timeline thing, and they've described it as like a living organism that self-corrects, and they've come up with all these kind of bullshit excuses as to how things have managed to stay the way they are, and how the young X-Men are still existing in the universe alongside their modern-day counterparts with no consequences on the past. And all this weird shit. I mean, putting that aside and the confusion of it all, I just think you're not really doing anything that's exciting me at the minute. Civil War 2 is still early days. There is going to be a big shock. I think it's coming in issues 4 or 5. Apparently an internet breaker, which they always say, but we'll see. The jury's out.
Really? Rudy's still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would probably break the internet. People just fucking quit in Marvel, but we'll probably talk about this as it goes on. It's probably a book that's going to be worthy of discussion in the coming weeks. We have one more thing to talk about in the news, which is our boy Mark Millar just being himself. He would not want to be his wife. He's so frigging premature. He's dropped a couple of tweets. Let's see. Huge news for Kick-Ass and Hit Girl fans in Hollywood Reporter in about an hour. Keep your eyes peeled. That was 6:10 on the 21st. Everyone went mad. Well, a few people were like, oh, what's this about? Huge news. And then, guys, Hit Girl and Kick-Ass news planned for tonight, but I got distracted by the pub and just got home.
What?
Soz,
You really tweeted that?
Yeah, so basically he fluffed it. He came out with this stuff too early. He hadn't sent all the information that he needed to Hollywood Reporter, so they couldn't post their article. And when it eventually dropped, it was kind of, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I was particularly underwhelmed by it. Basically, the crux of it is that both Kick-Ass and Hit Girl are coming back early next year. John Romita Jr. is coming back to Kick-Ass, but it's a new version of the character. It's a young black female character who is going to be putting on the weird green suit with the lines on it and the yellow marigolds, because apparently there's no other costume that you can just make yourself that doesn't look shy. And she's going to be a different version, and I'll quote you here from what Mr. Millar has said about it. Being older or younger or female or African American just seems more interesting to me as a writer, because this character is quite unique and opens up story possibilities that haven't been tried in almost 80 years of superhero fiction. This woman has a completely different take on Kick-Ass. Like, end quote. This is typical Millar. Like, he thinks he's the first guy to ever fucking do this. It's really kind of weird. We've had Miles Morales on the shelves for a few years now. But even before that, there are examples, but these are the modern ones. Thor's a girl, and she's awesome.
Kick-Ass one.
Captain America is currently Sam Wilson, a black guy. Like, he talks about this like it's the second coming, and he's catching up in reality. He's the one kind of behind the times. He comes out and says, well, not everyone needs to be a white male with blonde hair, which is what his last fucking version of Kick-Ass was. It's just it seems weird to me. I don't know what you guys think of this. Do you give a shit about this new version of this character?
I'll read it. I don't care about the new version.
No.
I'll still read it because I like Mark Millar, but just get the story out. That's all I want.
I like him fine. Like, he does some decent stories, and some of my, Old Man Logan is brilliant, and Superman Red Son was good, and he's done some good stories. he's his own worst enemy. He's just a fucking hype machine, and he writes these books, and they are seemingly made into films before they even hit the shelves. And it's this weird thing that he does. I don't know. What do you like? What do you think about the guy Scott and what he does?
I like his stuff for the most part. I completely agree that he is kind of tooting his own horn, but then again, he needs it to be successful. And then there's some in being proud of your own work, maybe a little too proud. And then sometimes, look at Michael Bay.
Yeah, I know, but do you really want to compare the two guys and then make that a positive?
Hey, Michael Bay makes entertaining movies. Because I've learned I can't say he makes good movies because no one else agrees with me that Transformers are actually good movies. But yeah, no, I do like Mark Millar. I do like the Kick-Ass comic books, book 1 and 2. I haven't read the third Kick-Ass one yet.
Me neither.
I just don't care. There's not a third movie coming out. I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. The kind of thing that I took umbrage with was the approach to it. It might well be a very good story. His stuff's been a bit half and half for me lately, so it could go either way. But I wanted to drop it in just because it's been getting some discussion, and I think it's worthy of a bit of attention from us.